Lisa here from the Cherry on Top and Creative Design Studio. As promised, I'm back to show you how to make a very basic digital scrapbooking template. We're going to start basic and we're going to move our way up. All right, over here you can see I'm working in Photoshop Elements in case you were wondering. Over here you can see I have my color ready. There's lots of different ways to get started. Typically what you would be able to do, and probably the easiest, is to go over graphics, grab a color and or shape and slide it in. We're going to start, like I said, really super simple. So let's just start. I don't know if I can make it bigger. Oh no, it's too big. Let's just start with a kind of a square shape. Okay, then we're going to go to our layers next. And this, once you have it kind of sort of the way you want, you can simplify the layers, or you can save it for the end. Just so you know, simplified layers are huge, 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 huge. I mean, unsimplified layers like that. Smart objects. If you simplify them, you'll make your files a lot smaller. And for templates, everybody expects that. That's what you do. Otherwise, your file sizes are going to be huge. Okay, just to show you just how basic, just start off with the square. Okay, and then, yeah, okay, maybe another square. And then really, you can just go crazy with anything, any kind of shape. There really are, I want to say there are no rules. You know, there are some things that you might want to go by. Typically, if I'm going to do a grid kind of shape, which is what I'm showing you now, I'm going to keep the spacing about the same. I'm an eyeballer. I know that might not help you much, but I just kind of visually figure out if everything is lined up. What you can do is you can go to View Grid, and then you can see that things are lined up. And as you can see, they're not bad at all. But you can make it perfect, absolutely perfect. Tweak it right there if you want. Okay, and that's a way to check that it's good. Okay, now we got to start here. What are we going to do next? We can, move it this way maybe. And maybe we want to get another one. We'll duplicate that layer. And we'll stick it in here. We'll make it fit nice in here. Let's see. Oh, gee. Hey, that's not bad at all. Maybe this one we want just kind of in the middle. Okay, we'll duplicate that again. And we'll move that over. I hope I'm not moving too fast for you. Like this. And it really doesn't matter. And just go crazy. Make all kinds of things in all different sizes. This is a really fun way to start. And you might not think these templates are very useful for people, especially people who might have a little bit more experience, but they really are. I use these kind of templates over and over and over again. Okay, and that can be one. And then let's just do File, and let's duplicate it, and we'll name it something else. That was template 10. I think I already have an 11. Let me make this a 12. And now maybe what I'll do is I'll just go and delete all of these, and I'll just start over again and try to do something totally different. Maybe one bigger one like this. Sometimes it's nice to give people different size options. Sometimes they have big photos. Sometimes they have little photos. Sometimes they have square photos or rectangular photos. So it's neat if you can give them options. Especially when you're doing something like this. Maybe we'll go like this time. You can always go to Pinterest, go to Instagram, go to scrapbooking groups, see what people are doing, and, you know, do similar things. We call it scraplifting. Try not to be too obvious about it. Try to make it different. I know everyone is always telling me about branding and having a style that's easily recognized. I can't figure that out, folks. I just can't. I love everything. I don't want to limit myself to like a cutesy style or an artistic style. I just can't do it. I'll get bored. I know myself. So I just do everything. They say there's no rules in art. I like that rule. And there you go. Check it out. Don't forget to save. I don't know if you guys also work in PS or PSE. Oh my goodness gracious, I always have to save. You can choose what kind of formats you want to give people. Always Photoshop, of course. In the digital scrapbooking world, a lot of people love to work in TIF. I always call it TIFF. And PNGs, or pings I call those. And I call them JPEGs, and I don't know. These are my little cutesy names. But JPEG, PNG, PSD, definitely, and TIFF. At Design Bundles, I don't offer TIF. It saves me a lot of time, hassle, all these other files I don't have to have, so I kind of dig it. Okay, So you got the idea. You can take it a step further and offer shadows underneath. I'm going to select all. I'm going to go over to my effects, and I have lovely commercial use shadows from Micro Dana at Made by Kancha, and boom. Now you have a shadow, and they can use it, but they can also go in there and, like, let's say I just uploaded this template to my computer. I'm ready to work. And a lot of really experienced designers, they don't want your shadows. They want to put in their own. So I could just go over here, right click, and I can clear the layer styles, and now I have my own. So it's neat when you give them options. Some designers put the shadows on another layer. That's also interesting. I don't particularly use those myself, but there are some that put their shadows on a separate layer, and that is another option. You gotta love when you got options. Okay, so now let's go ahead and take a look at my library. I put you through a couple because you can see just how easy it is. Let me show you some more examples. I don't have shadows on these. Just run them through real quick, but this is what you do. This is all I did was just throw in a square and all right, went to town on that thing. You can do circles. Whee! Big, small, cover the page, don't cover the page. But you get the point, just these basic shapes. You can do rounded corners. That's very popular as well. And then I thought, okay, let me show you some examples of what you could do with it. There's one example, just a very basic page. Some people, that's all they want to do. They just want to slide the pictures in of whatever it is they want to do, and that's it. Don't forget, show your clients everything they can do with these. Here, same exact page. I put in a paper, and I put in a couple of elements just to kind of pretty it up a little bit. Another thing you can do super cool is check it out. This is just that one template. Let me go back here. It's this template. I merged all those gray layers together. You can see it over here. I merged those together. Here's a paper. I put a paper here. I did a right click, and I clipped the clipping mask in there. And then I added another layer for my kitty, and boom. Look at it, all these luscious layers. It's pretty neat. And of course, you can spiff it up by putting more things in there. Another option you can do, dun dun dun, do 8x11s. Let's see what we can do quick. I know I've already done a couple of these, but you can do that. Let's go to our graphics. Let's slide over a shape. I don't know why it's kind of like that. It kind of bothers me. I like to see the whole piece of paper. And then, yeah, we're going to do the same thing, but on an 8x11. These are becoming more and more popular, especially as printers are becoming a little bit more affordable to print things at home, and crafters that like to print their things at home. It's kind of handy. Oops, I thought I duplicated that. Sorry. Right-click, duplicate the layer. And just play, just like we did on a 12x12. You can do it on an 8x11. I choose 8x11 because then everybody around the world can use it, not just the people who work with the American sized. So far, no one's complained yet. And then, yeah, you can see how just keep opening a new document and just keep going. Just keep going. You'd be surprised how quickly you can come up with a bunch of templates. It's fun. It's simple. And as I mentioned, these kind of templates are very handy. You can use them as backgrounds. You could use them, of course, traditionally to put in your photos. We could put it like that. Or we could go like this, maybe make one small one. And then we can take another one and make it a little bigger. But you see, there are so many options. And there are some designers who really only do this kind of a style. This is all they do. They don't add shadows. They just have a bunch of different sizes, formats. You can go 8x8, 6x6, 4x4. You could try that. I haven't tried that. But I do 8x11, not too many, but I got a couple 8x11s, and I do mostly 12x12. Because everybody can shrink it down, right? Especially the square ones, they can shrink down. Here's another option that's mega easy. Just get one of your photo squares and just make a format. Here's a nice place for a photo. Here. They can overlap like that, right? Absolutely. Another thing you can do, boom, bada, bing. Add an outline to it, like a matting. There's several different ways that you can do this. I can show you real fast. If I double click quickly on effects, you can see there. This is how I get my stroke. How I got it there, here, let me just go and I'll start over on this one here. Just in case you don't know how to do it, just in case, I'll show you quickly. You go to Effects, you go to Strokes, and there's several different ways you could do it. I don't know if I want to get into that kind of detail. Perhaps not off with this video, but another one later. Choose what you want. Choose the size matting you want. And if you think that that's still not big enough, then go here. And see, size is down here. Just use your slide, pimp it up however you want, and then check this box out over here. You can go over here, and you can either use the color picker and find a color here, or you can go ahead and try and use what they have. Maybe you want a purpley color. Ooh, yeah. Okay, that looks nice. Okay, that looks great. And here you can add your drop shadow too if you want. When you add an outline, it's a lot harder to get a good drop shadow, you'll see. I usually like a rather intense shadow. You have to make it quite large to get around that outline, if you will. Woo! You can finally see it kind of peeking out there. See what I mean? It's pretty tough. So that's one way that you can provide matting. But what you have now is now you're not going to have a nice little shadow here because this, in essence, is one layer. It's not two layers. If you wanted to, maybe I could show you fast. I think I showed it in another video. You'll duplicate the layer. That's where your outline is, right? And now that top layer, I'm going to right click and I'm going to clear the layer style. Now it's gone. See if I get rid of the one underneath, look, it doesn't have the thing anymore. And now here, I'm going to right click and I'm going to simplify the layer. Now I have two layers. You'll see, right? Because I'm going to go here and I'm going to add a shadow now and you'll be able to see my shadow. Okay, it's not there. You see it's not there. You see it's not there. And boom, 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 there it is. Now you can see that I got a nice little shadow there. What else you can do, what's super cool, is if you had a design paper, darn, I got rid of all of my design papers. If you had a design paper, well, let me just take this guy in here. We'll just imagine that this is a design paper. You can put that over that, dump, 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 and then you can get a really nice textured thing. That's what I do when I'm scrapbooking. See how I did that? If I go like this, then I'll get the outline from the paper behind it. See, you can just clip in whatever paper you want, and then, yeah, you get the point. And you still have a nice little place for your picture. Let me just grab something there. Oh, there's Kitty Boo again. We'll just grab Kitty Boo again. And that's how people will use it. They'll just slide in their pictures. Just imagine that that's the picture we want to use. There he is. Ta-da, ta-dee. Okay, I think you got the point. I'll probably show that again in another video or something. I want to go back down to this, okay? Even this you could probably sell as a template. If you wanted to take it a step further, you will go and start adding your template shapes. You always back it with foliage. Right click, bring to the front. You can just design your own if you want, or make sure you get some good commercial use where you'd be allowed to do something like this, because typically when you're making just a basic template, you don't have super fancy elements, and they're not supposed to use those, as I mentioned before. They are not supposed to use your elements unless they're going to turn your whole thing into a quick page and just add a picture into it, but then they wouldn't be able to resell it, and that would be okay for personal use, but not for commercial use. And then you would start making little clusters wherever you want. This would be the next step in template design. Start putting your clusters wherever you like. Just build them up. You'll get better and better. Look at other examples if you have to until you get the gist. Okay, and I know as I give you more and more tutorials, I'll show you more and more tips and tricks, but I thought let's just keep it really basic. So maybe today you want to start. Okay, I'm going to go over here. It's really important that you get rid of these smart objects, because otherwise when the users might not be able to use them properly, and they really become a mess with shadows and things like that. So I always get rid of them. Shadowing is such a personal thing. It's such a preference. Yeah, how you like it, how you don't like it. It's a little tricksy. You can buy a pack like this. Like this is my girlfriend's pack. There's a lot more. The other ones I have were not for commercial use. I wanted to use some that were for commercial use, obviously. I have a pretty butterfly here somewhere. There he is. But what's really cool is once you get going, I would totally recommend if you decide, oh yes, I definitely like this digital template idea. I want to start making lots and lots and lots of templates. Then design your own set of elements. And often what I do as well is I steal them from another one. For example, I have a series. I have a junk journal series. And I just keep using those elements for all of my junk journal series. And I could use those elements over and over again. Or maybe come up with a couple of basic layered elements that you could recolor and match. But color actually is important when you're designing a pack of templates. I always go to Pinterest and I have a board full of all kinds of oops, I forgot to get rid of my shadow. Let me show you how to do that. I forgot to simplify. Just go to copy layer style, right click, clear the layer style, right click, simplify the layer, right click, paste the layer style. I do it all the time. And choose a color palette, but you'll be surprised at just how much a color palette can sell something. One time for a test, I had some templates that I thought were so cool, and man, they did not sell. I was so disappointed, and I just went in and I turned them all around. I added a few different things. I changed the colors, and yeah. Then they sold again. So color's important. And when you see, ooh, these templates are really selling. All right. Use that color palette over and over again. Use those elements over and over again. People are like, oh yeah, that one. I remember that one. See what I just did there when I was blah, blah, blahing away? I just copy pasted that exact same cluster, and you could just put the exact same cluster there if you want. But typically what I do, I kind of feel like that's cheating. I just go in and I might change some things around a little bit, or sometimes I'll just change the order of something. Like here, this flower, maybe I'll put it in the back now instead of in the front. And you see, just change it up a little so it doesn't seem too much like cheating. But I really did prefer this cluster, so I'm just going to go dun, 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 right click. I'm going to duplicate those layers. See what I'm doing? I mean, this is really simple, right? This really is not a big idea at all, a big deal at all, sorry. A big deal at all. And then we're going to go here, and then we'll just use the same ones, but we kind of have to change it up a little bit now because otherwise it's not going to look right. But that's all it really is. You're just helping out people that have a hard time getting started. That's what's so, great about, what did I do? That's what's so awesome about templates is a lot of times people just don't even know where to start. Oh, I've got these wonderful pictures from my kid's birthday party. I don't even know how to start scrapbooking it. And that's why templates are totally awesome because so many people are like that. You know, the rule of 3. I'm a little bit of a nerd about the rule of 3, especially when it comes to my flying objects. I really like to include 3 or groups or odd numbers. I often do that. You'll see. We'll go into more detail about how to get a cluster just right and things like that. But you see just how quickly everything can be put together. Boom. There's your template. Here, what I often do is I go over here and I rename everything. Lately, what I've been doing is just numbering it. Now, people have their preferences, what they like. I used to spell it out exactly, everything that it was. Like, for example, this is a flower. I'd be like, flower 1, flower 2, flower 3. Oh my goodness, when you make a mistake and you have to go in and redo like 57 layers. Now, so I don't do that anymore. I don't care who likes it and who doesn't like it. It just really was an enormous time suck, I found. I did it like that for years, but it was too much of a time suck. So from now on, I just double click over here and I just number it. And oh my goodness, it saves so much time. You don't have to do that. You can label them any way you want, but definitely label them something. Don't leave those other terms. It's not helpful. Sometimes we need those there to find out exactly where we are. Like sometimes PSE just throws something in there and I don't even know where it is. I got to go searching for it. They used to just always put it on the top. For some reason, they changed it. But there you go. There's our pretty little template already. and we can save. And that is a very, very, very basic template. And again, you can do the same thing on these. If you want to fancy them up, go ahead and add some edges. People typically like a little bit of what we did over here, what we call matting, or a stroke. A matting gives them a little more options than a stroke does. Some people don't really know how to work with a stroke. So matting that on a second layer, like I showed you, by simplifying the layer and duplicating and all that, that's a really nice option to give people. But here you can do the same thing, pop some shadows back here, and just go ahead and quickly put in your elements into some kind of cluster. And don't forget titles. Titles are cool too. Let's just put this here and put this here. Well, we want it underneath. Foliage almost always just goes nice and neatly underneath. Oh boy, I've picked a foliage that really matches the flower. But just so you know, just to give you an idea that you can do the same thing on a very basic one like this. But don't be afraid to sell the template just with the gray squares. People like that, seriously. You'll see. Go ahead, put them in your shop. It'll only take you a couple minutes to make a whole nice collection. Sell a couple. You can always do it how you want. I almost always sell in packs of 4, but you can, a basic pack like that, actually, I probably would even go like a pack of 12. That's what I was working on. I thought, well, if I'm going to show you guys how to do this, I might as well make something useful out of it as well. Okay, so you could just go like this, and then maybe you want to just put a little word art in. Let me get a pretty color. This pink is so pretty. I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to type hello. What I often do, I don't know if it makes a difference or not. Like, look at this. This drives me crazy with these fonts that I'm buying. It drives me absolutely nuts. How tiny they are. Even sometimes on 72, I can't even read it. Okay, I know I probably need reading glasses by now, but oh my gosh, it drives me crazy. Okay, and then you could do something like that. Even that is you just made a very basic template into something super cute, and you can add your shadows or whatever. But I think I've got you on a very good start of how you can design some basic templates. And I'll be back with much, much more. Thanks so much for checking me out again. Happy designing!